I'm Evan Knappen.
And I'm Teddy Knappen.
And welcome to Gun Lawyer. So we are currently watching with great expectation here over a lawsuit that has been brought and filed by our good friend John Petrolino with the help and assistance of the Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms. And what is going on here is very interesting because John, who many of you know, does excellent reporting on firearm issues, particularly on New Jersey as well. He does great, extensive coverage. Well, John was instrumental in having the permit to carry statistics getting publicized and put out there, and with it being put into the ether and made part of an awareness that otherwise really wasn't there about the key discovery he made regarding black carry applicants, right? African American applicants are denied more than double their white counterparts for non-criminal reasons, okay? And John, he requested the records seeking the statistics on retired police officer carry permits to build on the coverage of all as to who has been denied. So remember, retired police officers in New Jersey, they can get our LEO, the Retired Law Enforcement Officer card, which in effect functions as a carry permit for retired law enforcement. And prior to the Bruin decision, where it was virtually impossible for folks to get carries, retired officers through the RLEO, they were able to get their carry in that manner. And of course, there's been even more progress where LEOSA also covers law enforcement and actually covers New Jersey law enforcement, which to a large degree makes even needing a retired law enforcement carry not as necessary as it used to be. But still, it is something that is done, that is issued, and John requested through, essentially New Jersey's Freedom of Information to get the records so that we can continue the further analysis. And what I have here is a news release from Citizens Committee, and what it says, as noted in the complaint, plaintiff and the public have a strong interest in ascertaining the relationship between the demographics of carry permit holders amongst the general public and retired law enforcement officers, including but not limited to county location, race, sex, and the effect of potentially disqualifying criteria in the application population, as well as the success rate for the appeal process within the New Jersey State Police. Having established Petrolino was deprived of his common law right to access New Jersey's Civil Rights Act was violated. The clear remedy is injunctive relief, compelling production of records to Petrolino. It continues. The NJSP, meaning New Jersey State Police, has denied countless record requests, and I've made over the years, never fulfilling even one, Director Petrolino said. And when I emailed them about these denials, an unnamed person at NJSP basically told me to sue them. So here we are. That's right. And as further noted in the news release, records concerning the retired police officer permits are about as public as you can get, says Chairman Gottlieb. Do they have the same level of perceived bias in their permitting statistics? Or perhaps worse yet, they do not. The public has a right to know this information, and we laud Director Petrolino in his quest to hold New Jersey officials accountable by forcing them to be transparent with those who they are sworn to serve. Yes, it is very important that these records get out there because the current records already show the institutionalized racism that occurs in carry permitting systems. That alone should stand for why we should have constitutional carry in New Jersey, where you do not need any permit, as do the majority of the United States. They have no permit required. And it is something that is not necessary nor in full exercise of the Second Amendment. We should not even be required to need a permission slip. And this illustrates the reasons why, because the surest way to avoid the racial discrimination, to avoid these type of cover-ups over records, is to not have to have the records at all by having what is lovingly called constitutional carry. And you may have heard there's a bill federally being pursued to have national constitutional carry, which would preempt all states and make it so that any law-abiding citizen can carry without any permit anywhere in the U.S. Now, as a step in between getting to that would be national reciprocity, where every state at least has to recognize every other state's carry permit. Although the majority of states don't even require carry permits anymore. And so this is what we're working toward, because this is fundamental to our rights, the ability to carry, ability to be defenders, not victims. And the fight continues, and this is yet another important, very important step in the fight as it reveals and has potential to reveal the flaws and the other problems that go to bias, racism, arbitrary denials, discouragement built into the system itself. These are all the mechanisms that permitting systems are designed to create. They're actually made to do this. They're made to discourage. The idea that it has anything to do with public safety is, of course, a joke. And it's proven by the constitutional carry states that are doing just fine without the permission slip. So the states that have this still in place, it's there to be a barrier to the exercise of our rights. And, you know, it's kind of laughable to see the left talk about how outrageous it is, unbelievably outrageous, how it's Jim Crow 2.0 to require an ID to vote. To vote! That's Jim Crow. But what goes on with carry permits, with gun licensing, oh, that's fine. Well, if that's Jim Crow 2.0, gun laws are Jim Crow 2000. It's insanity then, okay? That's what's going on in that radical difference.
Honestly, Dad, it makes me think back to Shaneen Allen, where you remember we reached out to all the pro-black groups, all the others, like bringing up the fact they were going to put a single black mom in jail for nothing, doing nothing more wrong than exercising
7 years
her
with 3.5 years minimum mandatory was their best offer when I took on the case.
Yep, reached out to Al Sharpton's group, the NCAA, anything, and
everybody,
you know nothing, crickets, because there is a built-in reason. These people, the left, are just Marxists, and when it comes to Marxists, they have no standards. It's about oppressor and oppressee, and it doesn't matter what position we must take, because that's how you end up with Queers for Palestine. That's how you end up with the fact that they're pushing actual racist gun laws, because that is the standard, because it has to be. No, no, no. We have to make sure these people are disarmed so we can keep the oppressee mindset continuing. Sorry, we can't side and agree with common sense issues like civil rights.
And this is the most fundamental of all civil rights, is the right to be armed. I mean, look right now at what's going on in Iran. Gee, why haven't the people risen up to get rid of that evil, terroristic, ruthless regime? Why? They don't have the guns. They don't have the guns. That's the problem. That is the big problem. And we have, as a insurance policy in America, the Second Amendment, and it's a check on tyranny. Okay, enemies both foreign and domestic. All right, this is why it's there, and you can see countries that have disarmed their civilian population, and then you see what they do to them, and you can see that taking place not just in countries as extreme as Iran, or as extreme even as North Korea, or other what we think of as dictatorships or totalitarian states. But just look now at the UK and what is going on there. And Teddy, I think in Press Text you're going to be talking about that. And there you can see what, and I'm not going to, we'll just put that as a little teaser. We're going to get into that. And it's critical. So I want to applaud John and Citizens Committee for pushing to get these records, and as we can expose the cover up, because why not release them? What is it they're so afraid of us finding out? Right? You know, so there's something there. Where there's smoke, there's fire. There's something going on there. Can't wait to find out the truth, and we will get to the truth. Hey, let me tell you about our good friends at We Shoot. We Shoot is a fantastic range down in Lakewood, New Jersey. It's where Teddy and I shoot, and got our training and certificates, and it's a great resource. Well, they are having a big March Madness sale, and this sale is going until Tuesday, the 31st. And some of these deals in their March Madness, first of all, they have for only $249, you can have an unlimited range access pass, priority lane assignment, 5 free guest passes, 3% instant cash back in rewards, 5% off accessories, special pricing on ammo and targets, and includes spouse and all children under 21. This is regularly $425 for a family membership, valid until 3/31. You can get this fantastic deal for only $249. This is a fantastic bargain, and you'll be able to access the wonderful range and all of these great benefits that We Shoot offers. So you want to check out We Shoot in Lakewood and go to their website at weshootusa.com. So this is a great family membership sale. They're also offering in the March Madness sale 20% off all their used guns. 20% off all used guns. That is a fantastic sale. You want to go there and see what great pre-loved guns are there, which you can acquire for 20% discount. And they're also offering 10% off all Savior range bags and accessories. So these are, of course, the wonderful Savior products, and they are doing 10% on that for their March Madness. So go to We Shoot, check out these great sales where you can get fantastic deals on firearms and family membership. What a great way to have great family time. What a great family activity take your family to the range, enjoy a great day of shooting, and really celebrate being an American in this 250th year of our birth here in this great country, and do it at We Shoot. Let me also mention our good friends at the Association of New Jersey Rifle and Pistol Clubs. They are the stalwart defenders of our Second Amendment rights in New Jersey. They are the key group. You need to belong to association. Make sure you belong. We're going to have a bigger fight now coming up with our new governor, who will be on the same path as the old governor, being an oppressor of gun rights. You can rest assured we're going to be dealing with all kinds of stuff, and we'll be talking about it on the show. But make sure you belong to the preeminent gun rights group in New Jersey, the Association of New Jersey Rifle and Pistol Clubs. You can join them at anjrpc.org, anjrpc.org. And I must shamelessly promote my book, New Jersey Gun Law, the Bible of New Jersey Gun Law. Make sure you get your copy, because it will help you not to become a go-foo in New Jersey. I've written it to protect my fellow gun owners, and you can get your copy at evannappen.com. Just go to evannappen.com, and you'll be glad you did. It's a mere over 500 pages. Yeah, that's what it takes to try to make any sense of New Jersey gun laws. And it's all done in a question and answer format to make it as user-friendly as we possibly can. Teddy, what do you have for us today?
Well, as you know, press checks are always free, and I always want to look to what would the left, if the left had unfettered power. Let's say Kamala won, House and Senate is in their favor, and they followed James Carville's, we're going to pack the court, and also, make Puerto Rico a state and everything that they can, so they can pass whatever agenda. What does that look like? And I always will point to Canada, and then much further along, the UK. And in the UK, one of the things that has been very prevalent in their politics is there have been a heavy push of the anti-knife movement, because they already cracked down as hard as they possibly could on guns, where they
So now they need some other inanimate object to blame.
Correct. And I was looking to, okay, who is the Everytown of the UK's anti-knife movement? Who is the group that is pushing for all this? What is the driving force? Because there's always some group. There's always one. There's always the, Moms Demand Action, which is also funded by Everytown. You have Giffords. You have all these groups. Who is the one pushing for this? And they're very proud of it. They admit it on the site. The Blades Down group. It is an organization founded in the UK. It exists to protect young lives and strengthen communities. We work with young people and families to prevent knife crime through education. Oh, propaganda. Early intervention. Legislation to take away your rights. And practical skills. Oh, practical skills, so you can make clear your argument for wanting to disarm your people. By building confidence and promoting safer choices and equipping the communities with life-saving knowledge. I love how they dress all that stuff up. And by the way, they love how they promote we've removed 199 knives out of our community.
199? Oh my.
Yeah, well,
okay.
It's amazing. Okay.
A whole 199. Yeah. Wow.
And I love the advertisement. I thought a knife would protect me. I didn't know it would change everything.
Interestingly about knives and protection, that is the gateway self-defense tool for women, believe it or not. Studies have shown that when women want to defend themselves, and if they're not otherwise trained in any other type of defense, they will often go first to a knife because they are most comfortable with knives. Normally, having grown up in the kitchen, etc., there's a familiarity to a knife, so the knife becomes the first weapon used by women, often those that are victims of domestic violence or have been victims of crime, etc. And then once they want to grow from the knife as their primary self-defense tool, they will often discover firearms. And that is very interesting because what the UK is doing is they want to ban knives. They want everyone to be defenseless, particularly women who would go to knives even first. And
well, they saw the article about the little girl defending herself against a pedophile and
correct.
A hatchet and a knife, and they thought,
right.
we have to disarm the little girl to make sure the pedophile isn't hurt.
Yeah. So the UK, folks don't realize, but historically, believe it or not, the modern gun ban, gun rights oppression movement actually came here first from the UK. After World War I, this had taken effect in the UK, and the same political forces started the movement in the United States to go after guns. And originally, they were successful in going state by state, getting different states to pass gun laws. So much so that the NRA, back then, they were naive, actually had what were called the model gun laws. And they were putting out to states, this is the National Rifle Association, put out to states what were the model gun laws that NRA wanted to see passed. That was essentially the NRA supporting gun laws. And they focused on, number one, things other than firearms and remnants of that law going back 1920s era, okay, back then. That those remnants are in New Jersey's law. They actually have roots going back to what the NRA pursued back then out of naivete. They were, plainly naive about it, but this is why. And also, the head of the NRA at the time was he was pro oppression, pro gun rights oppression. He was kind of a problematic guy. They would never think today would be head of that organization. But regardless, they push these model state gun laws. And so if you look, for example, New Jersey, where you had the ban on blackjacks, switchblades, slingshot, etc., this kind of thing, which then became slingshots because they didn't know what a slingshot was. Well, that actually goes back to the model gun laws that NRA was pushing, and even contained elements for permitting, for carry, and all that kind of stuff, way back. And that actually originated and came to NRA from England, okay? It came over from the UK. And it planted the groundwork in the States. And then what happened was it became too much with different states, not blah, 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 and it went national. And by the time it went national, well, what was it? It was the NFA, the National Firearms Act. And the National Firearms Act, it was looked at, look, if we can just get one federal law, we don't have to do these state laws. And that's why when the National Firearms Act finally passed in the form that it became, okay, and I've read through all the committee hearings watching the NFA progress. The original NFA now wanted to ban all handguns, okay, and wanted to ban all, not just full auto, but all semi-autos and full autos, and magazines over 12 rounds. That was the original NFA. And then through the committees, you saw them say, well, okay, what if we allow 22 handguns? And then, okay, well, how about we keep semi-autos? And then you see, and then it finally took shape to what it is as we know it today. And at the time, the NRA in the Rifleman, in the American Rifleman magazine said, we've solved the gun control problem for America. And they were proud of it. And look, I'm not saying this to bash NRA. It's not why. We got to know the true history of our mistakes. Okay. And it was a mistake. Okay. We see it now, plain as can be. It was plainly a mistake, but it happened. We need to recognize it, and we need to try to fix past mistakes. Ignoring them and putting them under the rug isn't a good idea. So know this history, okay? Because we don't want to repeat this history. And yet here, Teddy, you see, with knives, we don't have yet in this country an anti-knife movement in the way we have an anti-gun movement. But once they take care of getting their agenda of oppressing and disarming and disenfranchising us of gun rights, you can rest assured that it'll be knives next.
Well, I'll give you a worse one for you. This is something they push right now. By the way, this is out of Ellesmere Port, leading the way for safer safer knife swaps. Blades Down has created a community supported with local families to do the Let's Be Blunt campaign, where you can exchange your kitchen knives for safer alternatives, literally turning in sharp knives so you can have a dull knife. If I could write a Monty Python skit, this would be it. You've heard of the Ministry of Silly Walks? Here's the Ministry of Dull Knives. These people are retarded of the things that they are actually pushing for.
That's
literally the Ministry of Dull Knives.
Okay, listen, man. The whole world of knives, I'm into knives as much as guns, is what knives will stay sharpest the longest, how great an edge can you hold on the knife and make it as sharp, and sharpening is all. And here Everett is pushing dull knives. That is hilarious. Hilarious.
And it gets even worse. Then they said, we need to crack down. They're pushing the government to crack down on Facebook Marketplace because people are buying kitchen knives on Facebook Marketplace without age verification. What does that sound? Quite familiar. Think of Gunbroker. Think of any other thing. This is what they do, where they crack down on any forms of, freedom finding a way, and by the director. And so I traced it. I went even further. Okay, who is funding this group? Who's their Bloomberg-esque group who is pushing for all this? Apparently, it is out of this group known as the Ben Kinsella Trust. And this is the UK London crackdown on knives, where have pushed all the laws of trying to stop people from possessing knives, have pushed for all the anti-knife laws. They're the ones funding all this group. Guess who's one of their sponsors? Facebook.
What?
They're literally complaining about Facebook Marketplace having that, but also Facebook is their sponsor.
That's hilarious. Well,
this is the thing. Big tech is not your friend. They absolutely supported the Democrat Party. They number one funder of the Democrat movement. When it comes to rights, they do not care. So it's just disgusting. And just remember, in the UK for laws is a maximum penalty for illegally carrying a knife up to 4 years state's prison. If you quote unquote, here's it. You have to have a good reason for carrying your knife. What are the good reasons? For your work, for religious purposes, and for a national costume. Which I like how that was there.
A national costume. Yeah.
Yeah, because you can't say national, like Scots carrying their dirks. No. Can't be too nationalistic here. And, of course, they have the rigmarole ban list of knives that we've talked about.
Well, New Jersey's knife ban, quote unquote, does talk about under subsection D, manifest lawful purpose, which seems to be pretty damn vague anyway. And with Bruin talking about right to defense outside the home, I think that law is ripe to be attacked. So it's in a way similar, but it's not a. The problem there is on outside the home for carry, whereas you're exempted under other weapons, subsection D. You have an exemption under NJS 2C39(6)E to possess in your home knives. And when it comes to carrying them, then you need a manifest lawful purpose, which is very similar to what the UK. Over they're actually going way further. They're wanting to ban. They have the knife surrender bins. They're actually doing a dull your knife campaign. Like that's actually, you know, some people like you think like if you really hate somebody, it's like I'm gonna slice you up with a dull knife, right? That's even worse. But maybe that's where they're going.
Don't worry. They're doing their best cracking down on the rapes from going from 19,000 to 70,000 in the UK because they let mass migration in from individuals who, you know, let's just say don't.
No, Teddy, it's not because of them. It's because of knives.
It's because of knives. That's the issue.
It's knives.
The rampant stabbings. Yeah,
it's sharp knives. Sharp knives are the reason for the massive increase of rapes. If we at least have dull knives, we'll address that issue, right?
Yeah, and the rampant stabbings are from which individuals? Sorry, we can't report on that because that's racist.
Oh, right. So this is one thing, though, is you can still buy unregistered knives in America. You can buy knives, and there's no permit required yet. There's no place that I'm aware of anywhere in the U.S. that requires a knife permit. Now, you may think that's outrageous. How could they ever pass a law to require you to have a permit for a knife? Well, let me tell you right now, I have a knife permit that permits a serialized knife that was done by Russia. Right. Soviet Union, and I have the actual permit and the knife that goes with the permit for just a very basic 5-inch blade hunting knife. They had knife control, knife registration, and you needed a permit. And I bet the UK, they want to do something similar, right?
That's in their charter. That's in the Knives Down charter demand.
There you go. How did I know? How did I guess that?
It's amazing. It's amazing. It's almost like they don't even hide it anymore that they are Marxist and push Soviet styles. That's how you have Mandami with the government-run groceries, which I love. My one of my friends is like, it's not Soviet because they still allow for other grocery stores. Oh, really? What do you think happens when you run a government grocery store? What happens to the other grocery stores? They're gonna fold and leave. Like it's the level of how are they this retarded? Do they not pick it up? Like it's.
Well, they have an agenda, of course.
Of course, because there's no standards.
Listen, the important thing is stock up on knives, buy as many knives as you want to and can afford, and you'll have all of these no paper knives. Now is your golden opportunity to buy and stock up knives of all types and sizes and shapes. And if you want to understand all the knife laws, well, look in my book. I do a very thorough explanation of Jersey's knife laws. And you can still get knives by mail. You can still possess them without any special permits or permission. And there's no registration of knives. And here's the kicker. Knives are still protected under the Second Amendment because it's not the right to keep and bear guns. It's the right to keep and bear arms. And knives are arms as well as very utilitarian with multi-purposes. And they end up being pretty good investments depending on what you want to collect. So happy knife hoarding and just shake your head when you look around at what the formerly Great Britain is doing. Hey, I want to tell you about this week's GoFu, which is the gun owner F up. And we love to talk about GoFus because it's actual cases, real things where people have made mistakes. You get to learn very inexpensively for free what others have made costly errors regarding guns and firearms and what we care so much about. And this week's GoFu is about AI. Let me just tell you, AI is interesting, it's fun, it has a lot of potential, but don't rely on AI for your gun law advice, for anything along those lines. If you use, these AI platforms, any of this stuff, and you ask them questions, you better verify and get confirmation, because these AI responses, they can hallucinate. They give supposedly law that isn't even actual law. I mean, we've seen actual cases with clients getting into trouble because they're relying on AI, which is at this time utterly unreliable. I'm not saying that it doesn't have good uses and purpose, and it may have great things in the future, all that. But right now, folks, if you go to AI as your source so that you don't want to get into trouble under New Jersey gun law, you are making a big mistake, a big gopher. This is Evan Nappen and Teddy Nappen reminding you that gun laws don't protect honest citizens from criminals. They protect criminals from honest citizens.
Gun Lawyer is a Counterthink media production. The music used in this broadcast was managed by Cosmo Music, New York, New York. Reach us by emailing evan@gun.lawyer. The information and opinions in this broadcast do not constitute legal advice. Consult a licensed attorney in your state.